Kia ora, good morning. Welcome to Herald Now. I'm Ryan Bridge. It is Wednesday, the 30th of July. Great to have your company this morning. Thanks for being with us. Coming up on the show, the oil and gas is back on, baby. That's the message from the government as it votes to reverse the Jacinda Ardern era ban. We'll look at that in just a second with Russell Norman. It's one of the country's biggest nights. Well, it would be up there. The Pie Awards last night. The supreme winner was crowned. We'll ask the man who makes the best pies in the country what his secret is. Also this morning, Guy Sebastian, the Aussie music legend, is performed for the Queen in the past, also for the Pope. He's in the studio, not performing for us, but certainly here for a chat later in the morning. David Seymour and Chloe Sawbrook join us, along with Paul Henry, to reflect on the life of the late, forgive me, Michael Hill, Sir Michael Hill, forgive me. It is just gone 7 o'clock now. Neva is here with the morning's headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
Hospital emergency departments will remain open today, despite tens of thousands of nurses walking off the job. Nurses across the country are striking for 24 hours from 9 a.m, citing unsafe staffing levels. Health New Zealand's postponed thousands of procedures and appointments. National Chief Medical Officer Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard says people should expect delays in ED and contact their GP or healthline for care where possible. She says the service is already under pressure because we're in the middle of winter with storms and staff sickness. Severe thunderstorm watches and orange rain warnings remain in effect across Bay of Plenty and Gisborne region. In the far north, flooding is affecting State Highway 11 between Kawakawa and Paihia. And belief a report into ways the insurance sector can better respond to extreme events couldn't have come at a better time. A new Financial Markets Authority report on insurers' response to the Auckland anniversary weekend floods and Cyclone Gabrielle recommends improving 6 areas. These include identifying and treatment of vulnerable customers, resourcing, and business continuity. Those with mortgages are bank hopping at record rates, but not necessarily to get lower interest rates. More than 3,500 holders switched nearly $2.5 billion of debt between loan providers last month. It's the highest since records began in 2017. Cotality Chief Property Economist Calvin Davidson says it reflects a mix of factors, including short-term loans, minimal or no break fees, and cashback incentives.
People might be keen to do that to get a nice little bonus if they switch, but also there may be others who are simply facing cash flow problems and are looking for that cash to top up their budget.
A bill removing the ban on new petroleum exploration permits beyond onshore Taranaki is set to face its third reading in Parliament. The government hopes removing the ban will improve investor confidence in our petroleum sector and increase the regulatory efficiency of the Crown Minerals regime. The number of patched gang members has surpassed the 10,000 mark. Individuals registered on the national gang list increased by 75% between December 2017 and December 2023 to more than 9,000. The latest figures show there's been a 7% rise as of July 8, topping 10,009 people in total. Opioids are turning up more and more in workplace drug tests. Tests by the Drug Detection Agency for the 3 months to June reveal 3% were positive. Opioids made up 19% of positive results, with it up 25% in East Auckland and Bay of Plenty. CEO Glenn Dobson says legal painkillers like tramadol are part of the issue. He says there are clear instructions that you should not be operating heavy machinery using it and should be declaring your use.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Netball New Zealand have confirmed an ANZ Premiership broadcast deal for next year with TVNZ and a 5-test tour of England and Scotland for the Silver Ferns in November. A shoulder injury has ruled New Zealand captain Tom Latham out of the first cricket test against Zimbabwe starting tonight in Bulawayo. Mitchell Santner will become the 32nd man to lead the side in the format.
Just gone 3 after 7 here on Herald Now. Brooke Van Velden's anti-health and safety crusade's taken a bit of a random twist, don't you think? It's a plot twist that no one saw coming. She's consulting with the public on safe activities that kids are allowed to do on family farms, like literally watering plants and collecting chicken eggs. The law says, and this is the interesting thing really, anyone under 15 is technically not allowed to do work on a working farm. You could get fined $50,000 if you're guilty of doing this. But nobody's been done for letting little Johnny pick eggs. So it's a potential problem, but not an actual problem. The minister's strategy surely is to point out how ridiculous a law like this is in the first place, but her response sounds a little off for a minister who says that we need to get away from over-regulation, get away from consultation, get away from the nonsense, and just let Kiwis get on with their lives and their own businesses. She's now consulting, until September, consulting on safety thresholds for light chores for children on farms to ensure, quote, safe practices. It sounds like gobbledygook. It sounds a bit unnecessary. It sounds a bit, well, odd. If there's a problem, then why not just change it? Why consult up the wazoo through till September, then waste time on money on officials and advice, blah, 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 blah. If it's a problem, then make it go away and do it quickly. Do it tomorrow, 7:05.
Herald Now weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning. Fortunately, the fronts responsible for the heavy rain and strong winds are starting to move east, clearing New Zealand later today. We'll still be a little unsettled moving forward though, plenty of showers and cooler temperatures. Now there will still be heavy rain and strong winds for parts of Bay of Plenty and Gisborne, Tairāwhiti and the central North Island mountains, but we're expecting the watches and warnings to be lifted across the day. Last one expires at 1 p.m. So cloudy periods today with a few showers. They could be heavy for Invercargill and rain for Oban, but clearing this afternoon, winds from the south or southwest. Fortunately, the heavy rain is gone for the north of the South Island, just showers remaining. Could still be heavy and thundery falls for the west coast. Now the rain eases to showers this morning for the lower north, but then some of those showers will be frequent and possibly heavy this afternoon with north to northwest winds. Still a little bit of weather left out east as those fronts move overhead. Things will improve early this afternoon. Winds turn northwest for Hawke's Bay and for Gisborne. And it's a better day for the upper north, but still with showers. Some of those likely to be heavy this afternoon, maybe thundery too for Kaitaia and for Auckland.
Chloe Swarbrick and David Seymour standing by. We'll get to them in just a second. Right now, the oil and gas ban is about to be overturned. Finally, the government is poised to pass the Crown Minerals Amendment Bill. Its third reading should be heard tomorrow. This will unwind the Ardern-era ban. It comes as global demand for oil and gas continues to increase year on year. OPEC estimates a 24% increase in the world's energy needs. This is between now and 2050. Oil demand will surpass 120 million barrels per day, they estimate, over that time period. Russell Norman's the Executive Director of Greenpeace joining us this morning. Russell, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
You'll be pleased to see this is finally over, this madness.
Look, the madness is making climate change worse. So if we want to avoid extreme weather events, you just had a report about the insurance industry having to deal with more and more extreme weather events made worse by climate change. If we want to avoid that, then we need to reduce our use of fossil fuel and not increase our dependency. So the madness is making yourself dependent on a thing which is basically undermining the stable climate we all need.
Would us getting it out of the ground reduce global emissions, or would other people just get it out of the ground?
So if you look at the oil and gas that was being, extracted in New Zealand, a lot of it was feeding into the gas was feeding into the New Zealand energy system. The oil was going offshore. But there's a global move, of course, to decarbonise. New Zealand's not the only one that's moving away from exploring for new oil and gas. And so this is part of a global effort to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. The International Energy Agency, so you quoted OPEC, of course, the oil producers, the International Energy Agency are actually saying there's going to be, because of the electrification of transport, that's going to replace a lot of the oil over time, which is a great thing.
Yeah, over time, but in the lead up to 2050, there's still a hell of a lot of oil that's in demand. In fact, we're still seeing every year the demand for oil increase, albeit at a slower rate.
And that's because of electrification of transport, so it's going to replace that oil. And so, the great thing for New Zealand is...
Russell, this is the point the government's making. It'll take time, and in the meantime, you need a transition fuel.
And so if you go on the roads of New Zealand these days, what you'll notice is a rise in electric vehicles, which are replacing over time internal combustion engines, which is a fantastic development. And the great thing for New Zealand is that instead of having to spend billions and billions of dollars importing transport energy in the form of petrol and diesel, we can generate our own transport energy, electric energy, and feed that into the transport system, which is great for our current account deficit, but is also great for the climate.
Fair, but we don't have endless rainfall and wind and solar all happening at the right time and in the right mixture to plug the gaps, right? This is why we need a something else, and this is why the analysts have said we need gas.
So let's actually look at that. So last year, the government claimed that the electricity shortage last winter was due to the ban on new exploration permits that was introduced in 2018. It takes on average 16 years between an exploration permit being issued and gas coming on shore in New Zealand. The shortest it's ever been done is in 10 years. So when the government said last year, 6 years after the ban was introduced, that, oh, this great electricity crisis is due to the oil and gas exploration ban, they were lying. It's not true. Everyone knows it's not true. They were just trying to manipulate people, right? So anything that we're doing like now is not going to have an impact for at least a decade, probably more down the track. So if your concern is energy security, the last thing you're going to do is gamble that we might find more gas and then we might get it on shore in 15 years. You're much smarter to invest in renewable energy and storage and demand side management today. That's how you get security in the energy system.
Russell, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for coming on as always. Russell Norman, Executive Director at Greenpeace. It is just gone 10 minutes after 7. Don't forget you can get in touch with us this morning. Ryan at nzherald.co.nz is how you get in touch. Ryan at nzherald.co.nz. We'd love to hear from you and we will read your feedback out on air. It's time for David v Chloe at Parliament. David Seymour, the ACT leader, and Chloe Swarbrick from the Greens. Good morning, guys.
What a run-in, mate.
How are you?
Good, thank you. David, sorry, I missed that. I missed you guys saying hello, but good to have you here. David, can you just give us a quick little run-through of the oil and gas ban reversal? Like, what's taken so long to even get to this point? You guys have been in power for a year and a half, more than. What's taken so long, do you know?
Well, I think the key challenge is that the ban really knocked the stuffing out of people's confidence in New Zealand. So it's partly about finding a balance between making sure that under the new rules, people actually will want to come back here and that we're not going to have people leaving behind their equipment when they go in decades' time or creating other environmental damage. I can't emphasise enough just how damaging it was when a whole industry was told with no notice, no consultation, no reasoning, sorry, you're off. It's very hard to win back people's trust.
Yeah.
That's why the government's now in a position that I wouldn't normally support of actually offering to co-invest so that people who wanted to get into this business again are saying, oh, the government is actually for real at this time. I just also go back to what Russell Norman said a second ago. He said that, the government's lying because it takes 10 years for new gas to come on.
Average of 16.
He may be right about the 10 years to bring on a new well, but I don't think it helps to go around accusing people of lying, especially not if you're missing some of the nuance. And if you talk to people in the industry, they'll say that the destruction of confidence, the belief that there is no future, we're never going to find another well.
Yeah, it's a
this is now
massive
close
problem.
up, turn down the lights.
Yeah.
That means there's less people working there, there's less investment, and it's not just a matter of a well goes on or a well goes off. In the practical world, in the world of an engineer, there's actually a lot of things you can do all the time to keep the production up. And that has not been done as much as it used to be, partly because of this loss of confidence.
I hear what you're saying, David, but I think the problem that the industry still has is that you've got an opposition who aren't having a bar of it. So how do you invest when Chloe and Labor will one day get back into power and they're not going to have a bar of it? They're going to reverse the reverse on the ban. So does that...
That's why I get up every day to make sure that time is a long, long, long way away.
Chloe?
It's a pity when your opponent is so young. I'm going to have to work for a while. But nonetheless, I take your point, and that's why the government has said, look, we as a Crown will actually put money down. Now, if you find gas,
all right,
make a lot of
David,
money,
we have to give Chloe a turn.
Profit,
I feel like Chloe's going to pop pop one on you in a second.
I mean, I'm just sitting here patiently
Well, you're
listening
actually
to all
standing,
of
but
the
it's okay.
nonsense. But what David's talking about there,
Oh,
just to
come
be
on.
crystal clear, Brian, is $200 million in taxpayer money being handed out to the fossil fuel sector to
Well,
produce gas as early as possibly the official advice
Look,
says
I'm sorry.
in 10 years'
it would
time.
be taking equity in a company. That's different from handing it out, Chloe. It's called investing. If they make money, then you get a share back. If they don't, then you lose it. You got to know if you ever do want to be in government, you should at least know the difference between a handout and an investment, and taking an equity stake versus giving a grant. And frankly,
if I can actually talk.
Yeah.
So the definition-
yeah,
you can
sorry,
say
Dave.
what the other
Dave,
says is nonsense. You're not really adding anything.
I get emails every single week, Ryan, after I've been on your show standing next to this guy saying that I stand here, my face does what it does in response to the things that he's saying, and I have to say to the people of this country, you have no idea how much I am restraining myself. But if we can just talk about the facts, the World Trade
That would be great.
Organization, the World Trade Organization defines a subsidy along the lines of something that a government is handing out that the private sector would not do itself with all of the other facts remaining equal. So it is a fact that what the government has done is handed out a $200 million subsidy of taxpayer dollars to the fossil fuel sector, a lifeline to this industry, when the opportunity cost is that investment potentially going into renewable energy, creating jobs for New Zealanders, building greater resilience for this country, which means that we're not seeing the massive increase in the cost of living, which is contributed to by the energy sector currently being dependent on fossil fuels.
Yep.
We're cycling around the drain on these issues, Ryan, and we need to be making common sense investments in the modern world. We could be an incredible country. We have the talent and the know-how here, but this government's set on bringing us back to the future, or rather, back to the past.
There go those slogans. Look,
These are just facts. You can't keep accusing me of using slogans when I'm the only one who is consistently coming to the table with facts here, and the government, as Russell said, is lying to the New Zealand public
All right, guys.
about the fact that apparently our energy crisis was caused by the oil.
Do you know what's really hard?
About the World Trade Organization.
Do you know what,
definition.
guys? Hang on.
It is a subsidy in that
You
sense.
go for it,
It's
Ryan.
really hard. It's really. Chloe's calling the shots now. It's really hard for me to be in
I haven't
Auckland.
really got a word in edgewise, but
It's really hard for me to be in Auckland while you guys are down there. It's so much better when you're both at the desk, like we used to do it. I wish we can get back to that point. However, we will move on from oil and gas. I want to talk about nurses. They're obviously going on strike today, David, and they're getting less than inflation in terms of a pay offer from the government. And yet we've got those people on the boards getting up to 80% more. It's not a great look, is it? Do you admit that it's not a great look?
Well, if all you're worried about is the look, then you can have that argument. But I just make a couple of points. One is that I think a lot of people may not appreciate quite where nursing has got to in the last few years. So it's 127,000. You know, if you're coming in as a starting nurse, it's 75,000. These have been serious uplifts in recent years. Now we're not doing as much because, frankly, we're in a pretty tough fiscal situation. And unlike the previous government, we know we can't just keep borrowing. So is that tough? Yep. Does it look bad? Yep. But that's actually facing a reality that was ignored for far too long. Just as a matter of fact, you know, nurses in New Zealand are now paid the same as nurses in New South Wales, a place that is quite a lot wealthier than us. So while we value nurses, that's why they're paid quite a significant amount. We'd like to do more. We're realistic about our constraints. That's where we've got to. Now you come to these directors, and I think there's a bit of an irony. That there are people who want the government to do lots of stuff. They want the government to run 20 state-owned businesses, which it does. They want to have the government run Health New Zealand, which is $32 billion, the biggest organisation in the country.
So they need to be paid appropriately.
Directors on that.
Yeah. Chloe, do you
but
concede that point?
Well, no.
from the
There's
government?
one more point, Ryan, is that just like the nurses have had a big uplift, these guys have been held down year after year because politicians said, I don't want to give these guys an increase because it looks bad. Well, actually, you've got to take some responsibility. If you want huge organisations run by the government, like most people on the left do, then you should have the people directing them paid reasonably well. As it happens, they're still going to be paid less than people in the private sector. So there you have it.
Chloe, do you concede that point that actually if you want decent people running them, and they're billions of dollars, some of the budgets, then and in charge of them, overseeing them, then you should pay them well?
Yeah, I said this yesterday. You know, we should be paying people well for the jobs that they do and ensuring that they have safe staffing and conditions. So if we can bring this back to the nurses, we know that last year at the majority of our hospitals, half of the day shifts were understaffed. And any New Zealander who's had time in our hospitals recently will know this firsthand. Our health system is falling apart at the seams. And I'm not actually interested in the day-to-day politics of it because, yes, sure, well, we can absolutely point to the fact that this government has made it worse with the back office cuts, which has put more admin on the front line, led to more burnout, and then people leaving overseas for better pay and conditions and better safe staffing levels, ultimately putting more pressure on those who are at the front line, and there's a hiring freeze. The reality is that successive governments have not invested the requisite amount in making sure that our health system is functional. So what we're interested in here as the Green Party is coming to the table constructively and saying, how do we meaningfully fix this? And the honest truth, Ryan, is that when we're talking about paying for these things that New Zealanders need and deserve, there's really only three options that we have on the table. We either fix the tax system, or we have a more grown-up conversation about how we use debt, and we do so productively, which is the opposite of what this government has done by using debt to pay for tax cuts, which has created no jobs. Or we have an honest conversation about the ramifications of public-private partnerships, which do not actually fund these things, they only finance them. What that means is that New Zealanders are still paying for the same base cost for those services being delivered, but also for the profit on top, which, guess what, contributes to a higher cost of living. So the PPPs that the government is proposing actually will only increase the cost of living for New Zealanders, and we can pay for this stuff with a fairer tax system.
Just one thing about profit. I don't know if you know much about business, but frankly, when people say a profit on top, anyone who's in business says you don't put a profit on top. It's something you make if you succeed. If you organise your resources and you deliver for your customer on time, under budget, then maybe you make a profit. And when people on the left say, oh, profit is something you put on top, it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how the world works.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's how it works. And while we're talking about
you're not sorry to interrupt because you're doing it again.
Another $2 billion into healthcare. If money was the problem, everything would be solved.
Okay.
We've found the magic money tree. It exists in David's pet ministry, where we're seeing public servants pay 50% more than the average public servant.
I thought you were the adult in the room.
Okay.
It's just facts.
See ya. See ya. Bye-bye, guys. It's over.
All right.
Good to see you. 21 after 7, we'll get to the Pie Awards and we'll hear from Health New Zealand on the nurses' strike coming up.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity. And to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
do try it.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz.
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
Welcome back. Loads of us are switching banks when we're refinancing our mortgages, and more than half of us will refinance by December. So big changes in that space. We'll get to that in just a second. Right now, more than 36,000 nurses, midwives and healthcare assistants are preparing to walk off the job in a bid for safer staffing levels and better pay. Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard is the National Chief Officer of Health at Health New Zealand, and or the Chief Medical Officer, I should say, at Health New Zealand, and joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning, kia ora.
Do we have safe staffing levels in hospitals right now?
Well, today's priority is absolutely about keeping people safe through the industrial action and wanting people to know what it's going to be like out there. With our nursing colleagues off taking strike action, as those who choose to, it means that we will be very short-staffed today. But I want to reassure people that emergency care will continue to be provided. Any appointments that have been cancelled or postponed will be rescheduled in the next couple of weeks. And if you have got an appointment today and you haven't had a cancellation notice, please do turn up. If you're unwell today and want to know what to do for the best, think, how sick am I? Is this truly an emergency? In which case you show up in whatever way you need to right now. We will do our best to look after you. You will get the emergency care you need. But if you're not sure, think you could phone Healthline first. That's 0800 611 116 to check it out with somebody on the phone, or contact your GP surgery, although our GP surgeries are under a lot of pressure also because community nurses may be taking action today. So keeping everybody safe is today's absolute priority because our hospitals are under a lot of pressure because we're in the middle of winter, there's been a lot of bad weather, and we've got a lot of staff sickness contributing. So it's a tricky time.
Yeah, really tricky time. And obviously, as you say, lots of patients are going to be affected today, lots of us. So the question again, do we have in hospitals in New Zealand safe nursing staffing levels? Because the union says we don't, and this is why they're striking. Do we have safe levels or not?
So Health New Zealand is absolutely committed to providing safe levels of staffing throughout all our hospitals and our community settings.
I know you're committed. Sorry.
And certainly some of our nursing colleagues feel differently, and that's why they're taking industrial action. But we're
what do
looking
you
at
feel?
Staffing in the round. So what I feel is that we are moving to, we've taken on thousands of more nurses in the last few years anyway. But we're looking at skill mix. We're looking at using different healthcare professionals in more creative ways, providing care via different pathways and upskilling. So that's using our allied healthcare professionals better. That's using a range of skills in nurses and our doctors in different ways. So things are evolving in healthcare and we all need to do this together. We need to collaborate. And I'd urge the unions back to the bargaining to resolve these outstanding issues, because the one thing I do know is that everyone is committed to safely staffing our hospitals as well as our community settings.
So just to be really clear, we don't have safe staffing, nursing staffing levels in our hospitals. So they are right on that point. The other issue they've got, they're not keeping pace with inflation when it comes to pay. Are executives at Health New Zealand getting inflation adjustments to their salaries? Is it not fair that we do the same for our nurses?
The actual bargaining details are with a different team, but I do know that the team that are providing the offers on the table believe they are very, very fair and very equitable across all parts of the organisation, and that we're trying very clearly to treat everyone the same because we are in a fiscally constrained time. We're trying to provide the best care, the best resource to everybody, and a lot of bargaining is going on simultaneously. But let's be clear, what we all need to do is provide the best care within the environment that we've got. And to do that, we have to be talking, we have to be collaborating and bargaining. So please, let's all get back to the table, resolve these outstanding issues together. The whole world is facing challenges with staffing. The whole world is facing challenges with resourcing healthcare post-pandemic. And that's tricky for us all to negotiate, but together we have to do it. I'm a frontline clinician myself. I see patients as a GP. We're all feeling the pinch, but together we can do this. And today's priority is keeping people safe during this industrial action. So please, from 9 o'clock, the strike begins. Things are going to feel different today.
All right, and it lasts for 24 hours. Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard is with us from Health New Zealand. She's the National Chief Medical Officer. The Healthline number, by the way, 0800 611 116, and it's 28 minutes after 7 now. The UK says it will formally recognise the state of Palestine in September unless Israel takes substantive steps to end the war in Gaza.
I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution.
This is Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, joining France. That UN meeting will be held in September, and they say Israel has until then to basically call a ceasefire over Gaza. 29 minutes after 7 now. Some big changes for our mortgage holders. A lot of them are refinancing at the moment or about to refinance, and there's a lot of competition going on between the banks. People are getting deals. Nick Goodall is Cotality New Zealand Head of Research. Nick, good morning.
Morning.
What are we seeing?
Yeah, look, I think the big thing we're seeing is that mortgage switching right now has hit a record high. So we saw 3,500 people move banks in June. That's a record since the starters began in 2017. That's a total of $2.5 billion in lending. So yeah, pretty large amount of people that are moving banks these days.
Does that mean, well, it means lower rates, but also presumably means people are getting some pretty good deals. What are you hearing of?
Yeah, that's right. I think people are willing to go and talk to a mortgage advisor. They understand the situation a lot more these days, and that's meaning they're able to move banks. They've, be able to wind down their previous fixed terms, so there's no break fees to leave. And then when they do leave, you're right, they can negotiate really strong rates, and or can maybe work a cashback in there too. Though it's worth understanding that if you do get a cashback from a bank, there's usually a period of about 3 years you must stay with that bank, otherwise you have to pass it back. So just need to be conscious of those things as well.
Yeah, true. Do you have any advice for people? Because you're obviously, are working in this area. How do you play the banks off each other best?
Yeah, I mean, using a mortgage advisor is certainly a smart way to go about it. Those mortgage advisors know which banks do the best loans for different people, whether, that might be depending on your job, depending on the term you're looking for as well. So certainly using professionals that are out there. If you are wanting to negotiate with your current bank, I think letting them know that you are, willing to move, and then you can generally get a better deal from them too. And especially if you've got a large mortgage size, those banks are going to be pretty keen to keep you on. One thing I think we've seen in the last few years has been the banks being so willing to be competitive, because sales transactions, the number of properties changing hands, has actually been relatively low. And so for them to keep up with their revenue growth, with their loan balance, then they need to be really competitive to both keep you and to gain people from other banks as well.
Appreciate your time. Nick Goodall, Cotality New Zealand Head of Research, on the switcheroo happening. Basically, we're cheating on our banks with other banks and getting better deals, which is great news. 29 minutes away from 8, here's Neva.
Herald NOW News, powered by News Talk ZB.
Hospital emergency departments will remain open today, despite tens of thousands of nurses walking off the job. Nurses across the country are striking for 24 hours from 9 a.m, citing unsafe staffing levels. Health New Zealand's postponed thousands of procedures and appointments. National Chief Medical Officer Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard says people should expect delays in ED and contact their GP or Healthline for care where possible. She says the service is already under pressure because we're in the middle of winter with storms and staff sickness. Severe thunderstorm watches and orange rain warnings remain in effect across Bay of Plenty and Gisborne region. In the far north, flooding is affecting State Highway 11 between Kawakawa and Paihia. And belief a report into ways the insurance sector can better respond to extreme events couldn't have come at a better time. A new Financial Markets Authority report on insurers' response to the Auckland anniversary weekend floods and Cyclone Gabrielle recommends improving 6 areas. These include identifying and treatment of vulnerable customers, resourcing, and business continuity. Those with mortgages are bank hopping at record rates, but not necessarily to get lower interest rates. More than 3,500 holders switched nearly $2.5 billion of debt between loan providers last month. It's the highest since records began in 2017. Cotality Chief Property Economist Calvin Davidson says it reflects a mix of factors, including short-term loans, minimal or no break fees, and cashback incentives.
People might be keen to do that to get a nice little bonus if they switch, but also there may be others who are simply facing cash flow problems and are looking for that cash to top up their budget.
A bill removing the ban on new petroleum exploration permits beyond onshore Taranaki is set to face its third reading in Parliament. The government hopes removing the ban will improve investor confidence in our petroleum sector and increase the regulatory efficiency of the Crown Minerals regime. The number of patched gang members has surpassed the 10,000 mark. Individuals registered on the national gang list increased by 75% between December 2017 and December 2023 to more than 9,000. The latest figures show there's been a 7% rise as of July 8, topping 10,009 people in total. Opioids are turning up more and more in workplace drug tests. Tests by the Drug Detection Agency for the 3 months to June reveal 3% were positive. Opioids made up 19% of positive results, with it up 25% in East Auckland and Bay of Plenty. CEO Glenn Dobson says legal painkillers like tramadol are part of the issue. He says there are clear instructions that you should not be operating heavy machinery using it and should be declaring your use.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Netball New Zealand have confirmed an ANZ Premiership broadcast deal for next year with TVNZ and a 5-test tour of England and Scotland for the Silver Ferns in November. A shoulder injury has ruled New Zealand captain Tom Latham out of the first cricket test against Zimbabwe starting tonight in Bulawayo. Mitchell Santner will become the 32nd man to lead the side in the format.
Who doesn't love a potato top pie? And it is a potato top pie that has won the Pie Awards last night. We're going to speak to them a little later in the program. We're also going to speak to, this is after the death of, an entrepreneur in New Zealand who everybody knows, Sir Michael Hill, but also whose story you may not be familiar with and how old he was when he first started his business, the reason he started this business. There's an amazing backstory to Sir Michael Hill. So we'll talk to Paul Henry about that. I was about to say Sir Paul Henry. He would love that, but he is not a sir. He's going to be with us from his yacht, Fiji, I think, somewhere in the Pacific. That's after 8 this morning, to share some of his memories. Also this morning, I said we'll get to the Pie Awards, very important, of course. But also this morning, this is the company that owns Wegovy, a Danish company, Novo Nordisk, and their shares have taken a massive tumble overnight. In fact, at their worst point, we're down by 30%, $95 billion in market cap wiped off the face of this company. They've basically lowered their profit guidance. The reason they're taking a bit of a hammering, because they've got such a stranglehold on the market, they make Wegovy, but they also make the other one, Ozempic. The problem they've got is you've got new competitors coming in with the similar drugs or the same ingredient, but labelled differently, coming in and taking market share from them. And they've dropped now their profit guidance several times. This is a big deal for the Danish economy, and their GDP figure is often driven by this company. So we will talk about that a little later on, and Garth Bray will be with us next for an update on China-US trade. All that ahead. First, here's weather.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning. Fortunately, the fronts responsible for the heavy rain and strong winds are starting to move east, clearing New Zealand later today. We'll still be a little unsettled moving forward though, plenty of showers and cooler temperatures. Now there will still be heavy rain and strong winds for parts of Bay of Plenty and Gisborne, Tairāwhiti and the central North Island mountains, but we're expecting the watches and warnings to be lifted across the day. Last one expires at 1 p.m. So cloudy periods today with a few showers. They could be heavy for Invercargill and rain for Oban, but clearing this afternoon, winds from the south or southwest. Fortunately, the heavy rain is gone for the north of the South Island, just showers remaining. Could still be heavy and thundery falls for the west coast. Now the rain eases to showers this morning for the lower north, but then some of those showers will be frequent and possibly heavy this afternoon with north to northwest winds. Still a little bit of weather left out east as those fronts move overhead. Things will improve early this afternoon. Winds turn northwest for Hawke's Bay and for Gisborne. And it's a better day for the upper north, but still with showers. Some of those likely to be heavy this afternoon, maybe thundery too for Kaitaia and for Auckland.
Time is 22 minutes away from 8 o'clock. You're watching Herald Now. Great to have your company. Time to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees. More big news in world trade. Looks like China and the US have agreed to another 90-day pause on new tariffs. Business Desk, Garth Bray with me now. Hey, Garth.
Morning, Ryan.
Good morning. So what are you hearing from... It's Besant who's making these pronouncements.
That's right. He's the Treasury Secretary. Just walked out of a 5-hour meeting with his Chinese counterpart, the Vice Premier here in Stockholm. I think they had salad for lunch. I mean, no one makes friends with salad, surely. And he said, oh, look, we need to talk to my boss, Donald Trump, first, because he has the final say. Smart word, I suppose, that you know, it's exactly how you talk if you're the Treasury Secretary. And so maybe word that this 90-day pause has been agreed is a bit premature, but it seems pretty likely. That's what markets are expecting, that they still have substantial issues to kind of nut out before they work out what sort of retaliatory or snapback tariffs they impose. Among them, the rare earths control system that China brought in on April 4 after that Liberation Day, which has put a real pinch on a lot of key industries in the US. They want to loosen that up. And listening to Besant talking with reporters straight after this, he was quite open about it. He said, look, we're talking at a big level. This is the third time that they've met now, I think, after Geneva and London and Stockholm. They want the Chinese economy to open up and be more consumer focused. It's the factory of the world, huge manufacturing power. They want Chinese consumers buying more of that stuff themselves, and they would love to see that announced when China does its next 5-year plan. They do these 5-year economic plans.
Right.
September, October, rather than selling it all to Russia and keep them going.
So good news from Scott Besant, and he's trusted by Trump. He's made a lot of the calls, or at least given the substantive advice on a whole bunch of pullbacks from Trump. So hopefully this is good news and a good sign of things to come. Trade here, our ports need a massive rev up apparently. What's going on?
Well, they've got long COVID, Ryan. Basically, since 2019 to 2025, our 4 biggest ports, according to some MOT data and reports from industry players into an inquiry, productivity's dropped about 20%. This is just a lower number of movements of stuff off and on ships. And so a lot of the big freight players are saying, remember, 99% of everything we have here that we bring in comes across a port. Most of it doesn't land off a plane. They're saying, look, you need to lift your game. It's costing us more. Ships are arriving and then they're leaving more slowly. Increasingly, the costs are going up. I think when you look at the cost of getting a 20-foot container from from New Zealand to Shanghai is 30 to 40% more expensive than it is to get there from Melbourne to Shanghai. All of that is encouraging freight companies to look elsewhere, to say, hey, maybe we just hub it out of Australia and you guys can send a boat across there. That's the last thing that New Zealand exporters want. They're saying also, your government wants to double the number of exports in the next 10 years. Well, good luck with that if you can't move enough stuff through the ports. And there's a problem there that councils are under a squeeze, so they're bumping up the fees and they're thinking about selling shares and so on, but that's not necessarily going to lead to a productivity lift. It's just going to make things more expensive. So.
Okay, interesting. Now, the FMA's had a bit of a crack at the insurance companies over big weather events.
Yeah, that's right. Financial Markets Authority, under the Conduct of Financial Institutions rules that came in after 2023, after Cyclone Gabrielle and the huge weather event here in Auckland, they now have a role in taking a look at how well things are doing. They said, hey, great work, guys, on the initial, but your immediate follow-up was a bit lacking. It's fine to, we understand one insurer had to handle, I think, like 5 years worth of house claims in 2 weeks after Auckland and Gabrielle. But you need to have a system so that people can see how things are progressing in the weeks and months afterwards. You need maybe to have some sort of portal people can just jump into rather than having to ring and talk to a different person every time. And also understand that sometimes an in-person's complex claim for a house that's been destroyed or damaged is being managed by a lot of people. There might be builders, there's people that are putting inputs in. There's got to be one place where a homeowner, where the person who's insured can see all of that, so they can see how things are moving and why they're not, and then we'll give you a tick.
Gotcha. I just noticed your badge.
I've only been wearing it for about 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, actually. I just realised I was sort of distracted by it this morning.
Would you like?
What? BD. What's that stand for?
Business Desk. I feel like
not BD Energy. Okay.
Whatever you see is whatever you see, right?
Okay, Garth, I don't want to see it. Garth Bray, Business Desk. Thanks to our partners, 2 Degrees. We talk business every weekday morning. It's 17 away from 8. Now, if you've got anything to say about our topics this morning or about Garth's badge, then flick us an email, ryan@nzherald.co.nz. That's ryan@nzherald.co.nz. We'd love to get your feedback and read it out on air this morning. Where's the best pie in New Zealand? Well, we have the answer. The New Zealand Supreme Pie Awards were held overnight. This year, a Kiwi classic with a twist took out the Supreme Award. Our reporter Katie Oliver is at the winning Rosedale Bakery. Katie, good morning. All right, well, we might have to come back to Katie because we can't hear her. And we need to hear her describe eating that pie. We'll come back to Katie in just a few moments. Looks delicious. It's a potato top pie. It's a bit of a French flavour to it. So we will come back to Katie in just a second and see how it tastes. 16 away from 8 o'clock. Now, best pie in New Zealand is the power pie, of course. You can't go past that. East Cape of the North Island, just north of Gisborne. There's Tokomaru Bay is where it is. Best pie in New Zealand is a power pie. It's a creamy power pie. 16, well, that's my opinion anyway. Email us your best pie, ryan@nzherald.co.nz. Right now we're going to Christchurch. Claire Sherwood's with us for an update on news out of the south. Claire, good morning.
It's me to run with what I've got, Ryan. Let's just go with what I've got. I am talking about Aurora Lines Company. So that's the lines company down in Dunedin, Central Otago and Queenstown Lakes. Effectively, they have been working to try and recover some of the costs of upgrading and repairing the lines down there. It's been a plan for them since about 2021. The news today, though, is that power bills down in that area of New Zealand may be going up $10 a month from next year. Now, that's as a result of basically Aurora needing to recover some more revenue in order to fund these repairs and upgrades. The Commerce Commission has looked at it, taken a fine-tooth comb over it and said, look, here's the draft plan. The draft plan would be for $10 a month increases on average beginning next year for the first year, and then a smaller increase, about $3 a year thereafter. The good news, I guess, is that the public can have the opportunity to have a say on this. So they're asking for feedback on this draft plan by the Commerce Commission by the end of August, with a final decision to come out by the end of the year, roughly late November.
Okay, and Otago, well, you're talking about the Otago households there, but the Christchurch City Council is, there's a councillor, I should say, who's stepping down after quite a long time in the job, Claire.
Yeah, 15 years for James Goff. He is the Christchurch City Councillor for the area of Fendleton and was really young when he took on the role. I think he was in his early or mid-20s back in 2007 when he initially became a community board member for the area. And then in 2010 decided he would go ahead and put his name in the ring for a role or a seat at our council. He is from the Goff family. Those who are from Christchurch or know much about Christchurch will know that his uncle, Anthony Goff, is a very prominent property developer down here. In fact, he is the mastermind behind lots of our big developments, including the Terrace, which is the old strip, or the development of restaurants and hospitality and office precincts along the Avon River. Now, James Goff became a councillor in 2010. You can imagine what a baptism of fire that was, given the quake happened 4 months later. So he has been there in that council role ever since and overseeing some of the big decisions, red zoning properties here in Christchurch, things like whether or not we continue to fund the restoration of the cathedral, of course, opting to go ahead with the massive expense that was building our new stadium, etc. Now, despite initially saying that he was going to run for re-election in that seat, this morning he's confirmed to our newsroom that actually he's going to step down from council this year. He will run for the community board again, so to get right back to those grassroots and help out the community on that level. But ultimately, he's going to be executive director of the Terrace. His uncle, Anthony, is now in his 70s, and James says it's a good time for him to get a little bit more time with his feet up and James to take on more of a governance role of the Terrace. So it won't be the last we hear of James. He's been very well known here in Christchurch, but certainly from the council perspective, he's going to be stepping away.
Oh, interesting. Claire, thank you for that. Claire Sherwood, our Christchurch South Island News Director for News Talk ZB. Coming up after 8, we look back at the life and times of Michael Hill. Next, we're back to try the best pie in the country.
Are you considering a DIY kitchen but just not sure if you can do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. With You Do It DIY Kitchens, you're in safe hands. And the customer support team really know their stuff. After all, they design and manufacture everything here in New Zealand. You do it and you save money. So choose You Do It, the affordable DIY Kiwi kitchen with a great reputation. Visit newsroom.co.nz.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning. Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, you've got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
I'm Hayden Scott and I'm a knife maker. I make knives from my workshop at home in West Auckland. Yeah, my previous life I was a chef, did that for 25 years. But I had this knife making thing that I was doing and had been doing for some time. And so that transition from finishing that 25-year career and taking the plunge into full-time knife maker, I had been building up to that, but I still had to take a leap.
Ah, here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost centre reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can have what she's having.
So we had the Pie Awards last night, just gone 10 to 8. Pie Awards last night, and we have a new Supreme winner. Our reporter Katie Oliver is at the winning Rosedale Bakery now. Katie, what is it?
Good morning, Ryan. Yes, I am here with the winning 2025 pie, and I'm here with the owner of the Rosedale Bakery and Cafe, Sam So. Sam, tell us about this pie. What's your secret?
The secret about the pie, the secret, I think, we use that everything that a good quality one.
Good quality, yeah.
Yes, like a mince.
Mince, good quality mince.
Yes, and then bottom pies, be good like the flour is a good quality flour.
High quality flour, yeah.
Potato top too, and then everything, the quality one.
Should we show our viewers?
Yes.
Let's just show them a cross section of this majestic pie. I've been getting hungrier and hungrier, Ryan. This pie looks outstanding. Now, Sam, this isn't your first rodeo though, is it? You've won before. You won the best sausage roll?
Yeah.
In 2023?
Yeah, 2023. And then about the secret of the potato top, I think that the middle one is the secret.
The potato gratin, that's the secret.
Yeah.
How do you make the potato gratin? Is that separately?
Yes.
So guys,
you can see the flaky, flaky.
There's a layered French potato gratin in the middle, and I think that's the secret to their win. Do you reckon, Sam?
Yes.
I kind of want to take a taste. Ryan, what do you reckon? Oh God. That's really good.
Yeah.
I get it. Awesome. Hey, well thanks. Cheers, Sam.
Yes.
And what are your hopes for the future?
The future, I'm thinking I want to build off the pie that have some like a new design flavor.
Something new, something fresh.
New, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Because like when last year we got the highly comment on 2024 potato top.
Potato top pie, yep.
Yes. So I'm thinking to make the good quality potato top. I spent a whole year for research and then develop to get more flavor to do this one.
So spend a whole year crafting the next winning pie, Ryan. That sounds like it's going to be an interesting one, Sam.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah,
cheers,
thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. That's Katie in Rosedale this morning. Rosedale Bakery owner Sam So. So clearly the best pie in the country, and didn't look like it was very busy in the bakery at the moment. So if you want to get in there, get on down. Right, time now is 7 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Coming up after 8, we will look at the life of Sir Michael Hill. with none other than Paul Henry, a close personal friend of his. Right now, though, it is time for personal finance, thanks to our partners Forsyth Barr. Why do we invest in the New Zealand share market? Is there somewhere better that we could be putting our money? How does the NZX compare to the ASX, compare to the S&P 500? Mark Richardson, investment advisor, Forsyth Barr. Good morning.
It's a good question, that actually, Ryan, because when you look at the numbers over the last 5 years, the New Zealand market, looking at the numbers very simply, about 7% return. You look at the ASX, which has been a little bit sluggish at times, but that's sort of, around, let's call it even sort of 9-10. And the S&P 500, 14 to 15%. So he says, why don't we just pour our money into the S&P 500? Well, it all depends on really the reason you might actually be investing. So where the New Zealand market can be very good is it pays very good dividends. So the dividend yield on average is about 5.8%. In terms of the dividend yield. So what they're paying out to you as a form of income, very good, 5.8% New Zealand market. Look at that in the S&P 500 and it's 1.5% if you're lucky, because those companies seeking growth, they tend to pour what profit they make straight back into the business to grow. So if you're looking to invest for growth over the long term, US market, very, very good. If you're looking for income, and the other thing with New Zealand dividends, you get the imputation credits. So the companies pay the company tax, you're not having to pay tax on tax. Whereas if you're investing into the Australian market, often you don't get the equivalent is called franking credits. Often in New Zealand, you don't get the benefit of them being tax deductible, so you end up paying tax on tax. So if you're looking for a stable income, New Zealand market is very heavily dominated by utilities, these sort of almost immovable objects, you could say, in terms of businesses, quite stable and will spit out a decent form of cash flow in the form of income, which is in dividends, which is quite tax efficient, as opposed to seeking growth if you go for the US market.
Which is like a capital gain, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Over that way.
And you can draw from a portfolio as a whole, but imagine it like you've got two pizzas. You got the New Zealand pizza, you got the US pizza. You're going to wring out the New Zealand pizza and then lay it back out, take the cheese out of the cheese crust. Let's say there's your dividend and the pizza remains a similar size, so it grows a little bit. The US, you're having to carve it up a bit. And if you're looking for income, that can be a little bit inefficient.
So, is this the part where you tell me that we should have a balanced portfolio of all of these things included?
Yes, I am, Ryan.
Thought it was about that time.
We would look at, let's say, a balanced portfolio having 15% New Zealand equities. Okay. But then depending on what you want out of your portfolio, we may up that weighting a little bit. Right now, because it's very difficult to get your hands on fixed interest at the moment. There's a lack of supply, liquidity out there, people holding on to those really good coupon paying fixed interest. There's a reason why you might actually look to actually outweight your holding in New Zealand if you're after income because of the dividend that they pay out. And that will also potentially, because of that extra demand, that might actually drive up the capital price as well. So, we're hoping that we might actually see a little bit of life because of that, the stable dividends. Bearing in mind the companies need to be able to maintain that dividend over the next wee while.
Do people who get really rich out of trading in the stock market, do they do that via dividends, or do they do that via an increase in the market cap of companies and they've ridden the wave and then they cash out and realise it?
Well, those who stick it out for the long term generally will prosper, Ryan.
Is that time?
Yeah, if you're looking for growth, obviously, ideally you want to be reinvesting those dividends. So that's how you get the benefit of compounding growth, or maximise the benefit of compounding growth. The other point I want to make with why you would look to invest in the New Zealand market if you're a New Zealand investor and you are using a firm like ours is that we are close to these companies. Our researchers are very close to these companies. They get to know these companies inside out, like the back of their hand. They know what drives them, they know who's driving them, and we get a really clear picture. Even though we use research partners from around the world, we're right here. They come in, they report to us, we give them hell.
Hey, what's your favourite pie? Steak and cheese.
Well, the first thing with a pie is it's got to be a pie you can eat in your hand. I'm not interested in a pie you've got to actually put it, it's so complicated that you've got to put it on a plate and eat it with a knife and fork.
Yeah, that, to be fair, the winning pie did look like one you'd need a knife and fork for.
Yeah, therefore it's not a pie. It defeats the purpose of what I'm buying a pie for. I want to be able to drive back from the beach and eat a pie and drive at the same time.
It's versatility.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Appreciate it rather than taste, flavour. or anything else. Appreciate that. Mark Richardson, Forsyth Bar, with us this morning. And we talk personal finance every week thanks to our partners, Forsyth Bar. 2 minutes away from 8 now. A supermarket on Auckland's North Shore was evacuated last night after its sign caught fire. Fire and Emergency New Zealand sent 4 appliances to New World and Browns Bay just before 8 last night. What a strange thing to catch on fire. A witness who was inside the supermarket at the time said smoke was coming down the side of the building and some people were struggling to breathe. The fire was put out, no one was hurt. Last month, a massive blaze broke out at New World Victoria Park in central Auckland. That site won't be reopened for 2 years, which is not surprising given that how much damage there was to it. I drove past it most days and at 3 in the morning, and there's a security guard that sits outside that New World all night long, and presumably will be doing so for the next 2 years, if that's how long it takes to rebuild. As the wet weather continues across the north and east of the country this morning, a couple of good Kiwis have taken a can-do attitude to a slip on State Highway 1 on the Brynduin Hills. The slip closed both lanes on a section of the Brynduins for several hours. These dudes got out of their cars, got out of their utes, got their shovels out of the back and started cleaning up the mess. And you can tell these guys have come from Whangarei, not from Auckland, because they're real men. Slip closed both lanes on a section of that highway. The road has since reopened, you'll be pleased to know. Flick us an email for comment this morning, Ryan at nzherald.co.nz. Right now, it is 8 o'clock. Good morning, you're watching Herald Now, Wednesday the 30th of July. On the show this hour, Sir Michael Hill, jeweller. We remember the man from Whangarei who turned a tiny shop into an international retail empire. Paul Henry with us live. 36,000 nurses are about to go on strike. How did it get to this point? What can we do to pull them back from the brink? Our panel weighs in, and he's a genuine triple threat. Singer, songwriter, TV host, Guy Sebastian, Aussie music royalty who's performed to the Queen and the Pope in the studio after 8:30 this morning. First, here is Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
Hospital emergency departments will remain open today, despite tens of thousands of nurses walking off the job. Nurses across the country are striking for 24 hours from 9 a.m, citing unsafe staffing levels. Health New Zealand's postponed thousands of procedures and appointments. National Chief Medical Officer Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard says people should expect delays in ED and contact their GP or healthline for care where possible. She says the service is already under pressure because we're in the middle of winter with storms and staff sickness. Severe thunderstorm watches and orange rain warnings remain in effect across Bay of Plenty and Gisborne region. In the far north, flooding is affecting State Highway 11 between Kawakawa and Paihia. And belief a report into ways the insurance sector can better respond to extreme events couldn't have come at a better time. A new Financial Markets Authority report on insurers' response to the Auckland anniversary weekend floods and Cyclone Gabrielle recommends improving 6 areas. These include identifying and treatment of vulnerable customers, resourcing, and business continuity. Those with mortgages are bank hopping at record rates, but not necessarily to get lower interest rates. More than 3,500 holders switched nearly $2.5 billion of debt between loan providers last month. It's the highest since records began in 2017. Cotality Chief Property Economist Calvin Davidson says it reflects a mix of factors, including short-term loans, minimal or no break fees, and cashback incentives.
People might be keen to do that to get a nice little bonus if they switch, but also there may be others who are simply facing cash flow problems and are looking for that cash to top up their budget.
A bill removing the ban on new petroleum exploration permits beyond onshore Taranaki is set to face its third reading in Parliament. The government hopes removing the ban will improve investor confidence in our petroleum sector and increase the regulatory efficiency of the Crown Minerals regime. The number of patched gang members has surpassed the 10,000 mark. Individuals registered on the national gang list increased by 75% between December 2017 and December 2023 to more than 9,000. The latest figures show there's been a 7% rise as of July 8, topping 10,009 people in total. Opioids are turning up more and more in workplace drug tests. Tests by the Drug Detection Agency for the 3 months to June reveal 3% were positive. Opioids made up 19% of positive results, with it up 25% in East Auckland and Bay of Plenty. CEO Glenn Dobson says legal painkillers like tramadol are part of the issue. He says there are clear instructions that you should not be operating heavy machinery using it and should be declaring your use.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Netball New Zealand have confirmed an ANZ Premiership broadcast deal for next year with TVNZ and a 5-test tour of England and Scotland for the Silver Ferns in November. A shoulder injury has ruled New Zealand captain Tom Latham out of the first cricket test against Zimbabwe starting tonight in Bulawayo. Mitchell Santner will become the 32nd man to lead the side in the format.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning. Fortunately, the fronts responsible for the heavy rain and strong winds are starting to move east, clearing New Zealand later today. We'll still be a little unsettled moving forward though, plenty of showers and cooler temperatures. Now there will still be heavy rain and strong winds for parts of Bay of Plenty and Gisborne, Tairāwhiti and the central North Island mountains, but we're expecting the watches and warnings to be lifted across the day. Last one expires at 1 p.m. So cloudy periods today with a few showers. They could be heavy for Invercargill and rain for Oban, but clearing this afternoon, winds from the south or southwest. Fortunately, the heavy rain is gone for the north of the South Island, just showers remaining. Could still be heavy and thundery falls for the west coast. Now the rain eases to showers this morning for the lower north, but then some of those showers will be frequent and possibly heavy this afternoon with north to northwest winds. Still a little bit of weather left out east as those fronts move overhead. Things will improve early this afternoon. Winds turn northwest for Hawke's Bay and for Gisborne. And it's a better day for the upper north, but still with showers. Some of those likely to be heavy this afternoon, maybe thundery too for Kaitaia and for Auckland.
5 after 8, you're watching Herald Now. Sir Michael Hill, the founder of Michael Hill Jeweller, died yesterday at the age of 86. Sir Michael had been undergoing cancer treatment since April. He started with one jewellery store in Whangarei and grew the company into an international retailer. Take a look.
Hello, Michael Hill. This month I have an engagement ring offer you won't believe.
The voice that launched a jewellery empire has fallen.
Now from Fiji is broadcaster and captain of the high seas, Paul Henry, who's anchored up next to Sir Michael's boat, the Beast, which is somewhere within Kui, I'm told. But in fact, I think I can just see it over your shoulder this morning. Paul, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan. Unfortunately, as is the nature with boats, we are swinging around. So at some point it will be over my shoulder, and at other points it will be out of sight.
You two bonded over boating. What was it that brought you together?
You know, I have known Michael for many, 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 many years. When he won Entrepreneur of the Year, but even prior to that, just obviously interviewing him, and we struck up a real friendship. And then through our mutual love of boating, we got even closer. I was shocked. I mean, I knew he was desperately unwell, but we were emailing up until really a week ago. And here I am anchored right next to the beast, and I was hoping that he would be able to come up here and, as we did last time, you know, have a meal together on board, that sort of thing. You know, he was a lovely man. Now, people say that, and I've gone quiet on some people I know when they've passed away because they weren't lovely. Michael was a truly lovely man. Here's the thing that for me, he stood out because he was probably the smartest man in any room you were in, but he never seemed like the smartest man. He did something that most people don't do, and that was really listen. And if Michael said to you, what do you think of something? He actually wanted to know what you thought of it. And if you just briefly said, oh, yeah, no, that's all right. Well, what do you mean that's all right? What do you actually think? And he would really listen to the answer. I think that was his true golden touch. No matter who you were, he would study what you were saying and learn from it.
Am I right in saying there was an incident with a watch? He stole your watch at some point?
Well, he didn't. We were on air together, and he had just brought out a range of Michael Hill watches. Always the marketer, always the businessman. And he said to me halfway through the interview, that's a lovely watch you've got on, Paul. And I said, yes, it is. It was a very expensive watch. And so I naturally said, and that's a lovely watch you're wearing too. He said, let's swap. So he took my, I think it was probably about $8,000 watch and swapped it with his $450 watch and then disappeared with my watch. And it disappeared for some number of years until actually it was when he was made Entrepreneur of the Year and I was on stage talking about Michael. And I decided that it was time to rectify the watch situation. So I showed him a picture on the screen. I showed everyone a picture of his boat, which was not the Beast, it was his previous boat. And then a very small boat I had at the time, about 16 meters, and said, tonight, we're going to swap boats, Michael. So we had a lot of instances like that. But both him and Lady Christine, I mean, I can't describe. He has an absolute passion for fishing, which I don't share. But his passion, both of their passions for boating, that's the Beast over my shoulder now in the background. Both of their passions for boating almost know no bounds. I remember once they were holidaying with me on Olive here, and we were in the Mediterranean, and it was fabulously rough. The Mediterranean can cut up very, very quickly. It was like spectacularly rough, and they were in the saloon here, I thought. So I came through, holding on to everything as I walked through, no sign of them. And they were both sitting out the back in the cockpit with walls of water crashing behind them with the biggest smiles on their faces. And Michael said to me then, I said, my God, you should be inside. And he said, no, this is living, Paul.
Amazing stories, and amazing that you've got to share so much time with him, especially doing your shared love, which is boating. What about the low point? Everyone talks about the fire, the house fire, that sort of, in a way, got him started on his entrepreneurial journey. What did he share with you about that? How significant a turning point was that for him in his life?
Well, it was the turning point. It was the turning point, because he realized, I think for the first time, that you jump, and of course you can, if you're a certain sort of person, most people are, they just plod on through life. He realized he couldn't do that. He looked around him at the fact that he had lost everything except the people that depended on him for a future. And he realized that he had just been biding time. And I can't remember his age now. He was in his early 40s, I think. And he decided then and there, I need to buy this jewelry store I've been working in, and I need to turn more than just a profit. And so that really, it was the turning point in his life when he witnessed his house and all of his possessions disintegrate before his eyes.
It's incredible, really, isn't it? And what about the catch cry, the very famous now marketing genius line, hello, Michael Hill jeweler? Do you think that's something he would have spent a long time thinking about and coming up with?
Do you know, that's a very good question, Ryan. I don't know. I think he knew point of difference. He understood point of difference. And if you go back to that time, I mean, I remember one of the famous ones. I hope I remember this correctly. I once talked to him about it and he couldn't remember it. But the best Michael Hill ad was a Christmas ad, I think it was, for buying your wife a ring. Look at the beast in the background. You know, Michael will live on in so many ways. His name will live on in all the jewelry stores and so many people's positive memory, and in this magnificent vessel behind me now. Anyway, this ad, Michael Hill, jeweler, buy a lovely ring for your wife and we'll give you a chainsaw. I mean, how inspired was that? New Zealand men don't go out, and certainly then they didn't go out buying jewelry for their wives. But how can a wife complain about a new chainsaw when he gets it for free because he buys her a ring? I mean, how inspired is that?
Also, just a lovely thing to have as your legacy is jewellery that brings people together and you know, is a sort of a symbol of their love for one another. A beautiful legacy that he's leaving.
You know, that's exactly right. One of the best things Michael ever did was marry Christine. You know, they are so perfectly matched. They're both very strong people, very clever people, and very artistic people. And they both allowed each other to flourish.
Paul, thanks for sharing your memories this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Paul Henry, broadcaster, remembering Michael Hill. It's 14 after 8. We'll be back with our panel in just a second.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity. And to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
do try it.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz.
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
Welcome back. Great to have your company. 16 minutes after 8. Don't forget our email address this morning, ryan@nzherald.co.nz. We'd love to hear from you. Time for our panel of the day. Simon Wilson, senior journalist at the Herald, alongside Deborah Peed, Peed PR founder. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you both. Let's start with we spoke earlier in the show about the Crown Minerals Act. So, you know, Labor brings in the oil and gas ban. Ironically, alongside New Zealand First, is now desperate to backpedal and undo the ban. Big question is whether it's actually going to have much of an effect on you know, the electricity market, in particular the power sector is one of the reasons the government says we need it. But you know, is it kind of too little too late at this point?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like the reversal of this ban not only puts us between a rock and a hard place, but it feels like we're driving into the future with last century's fuel in the
vehicles.
car. You know, it's, and I feel like there should be more investment in new tech and sustainable, but I also understand the need for affordable and safe supply. I can't be the only person that reaches for tranquilizers every time I turn on the heater. You know, we need to do something to provide power more affordable and longevity of the supply, and that's an issue right now.
Yes, we do, but of course there are already consented wind farms in this country that are not being built because it is not in the economic interest of the power companies who have those consents to build them. So we need reform in the electricity industry that means that those things become more viable. Wind is by some enormous distance the cheapest form of power on the planet now, and we have lots of it. So the idea that exploring for more oil and gas, which is speculative, and there's no real certainty, nobody in the industry is saying we know we're going to find it, and even if they do, it will take years and years to come on stream. The idea that that's going to solve our crisis now is really nonsense. We have alternatives and we need to be using them.
But at the same time, we need to provide some security to businesses who need that power supply right now. So it's a balance between that transition and the economy.
So the government has already announced measures to make it easier for residential solar and also for rural solar in farms. But those things are not supercharged, and they could be. So it could be possible to very quickly develop an industry in this country manufacturing, supplying and using solar energy, which would happen far more quickly than the speculative oil and gas generation, and would also, of course, future-proof us.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but we need a security in our transition plan right now. I personally know of businesses that will shut down their operations if they can't get a secure supply, and that will mean the loss of hundreds of jobs, hundreds of engineers leaving the country, so we need some security.
It's absolutely shocking. So those manufacturers who closed, particularly the sawmills and so on that closed in the last winter, they could have been assisted to develop alternate forms of energy on the spot. And it could have happened and they could have kept going. But the government doesn't look at it right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tension in this topic.
Well, no, but I was fascinated just listening to you both, because this is both sides.
Keep going.
The problem is, though, you run out. I mean, it only rains so much. You know, it only blows so much and only at the right time. So you need something, a stopgap.
Which New Zealand are you living in? It blows a lot in this country.
Yeah,
and it rains a lot.
It rains a lot, but it doesn't rain at the right times, right? Which is why the lakes get empty and we have problems. Yep. And then we have an increase in the spot price. And then we have producers shutting up shop.
I did say at the start we need reform of the electricity sector so that we're not at the mercy of those spot prices. We're not at the mercy of companies knowing it's more in their interest to develop fossil fuels rather than the alternative.
We can't keep relying on last century's fossil fuels. We need to fast-track reform and sustainable energy quickly, but we do need an interim plan. And if it's like reopening that exploration, then let's do it.
Get it open.
Won't be interim.
All right. We're going to move on. Pies, something we can all agree on, hopefully. Favourite pies?
This will be the one that might bring us to blows, don't you?
I
think a superb bacon and egg is very, very hard.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Oh, hard to go past mince and cheese.
Oh!
Yeah, see, I don't like the cheese in the pies. I find it's too hot. When if you get a hot pie,
blow on the pie, mate.
But you've got to blow for longer on the cheese than you do on the mince. You know what I mean?
Tough living in this world, isn't it?
Very complicated. Yeah. But quite cool. I don't know if you saw the interview earlier with the winner from Rosedale Bakery in Albany. Pretty amazing achievement for him.
It really is. It really is. I used to work in the food media business, and pie makers go at it really seriously. It is extraordinary, the love and determination that the best put into their work, and good on them.
What about the potato tops? Are we a fan of those?
Well, I'm not a massive fan of them, but I mean, trust New Zealand to come up with like a little French je ne sais quoi on the pie, the old humble pie. But I mean, we do some great pies in New Zealand. My go-to is Cazador. They do an amazing pie in their deli takeout. It's a luxury. It's not a quick, cheap fix, but my gosh, it's worth it. It's worth the calories as well.
Sir Michael Hill has passed away, which is obviously very sad news. We just spoke to Paul Henry for some of his reflections and recollections. I don't know how well either of you knew him or might have interviewed him over the years.
I have met him 2 or 3 times. I didn't know him well. I do remember seeing him at orchestra concerts because, of course, he was a great fan of classical music and violin in particular, which he sponsored competitions. And, he'd turn up in his black jeans and his rakish look and be a total fan, but a real kind of bodgy alternative look to many of the orchestra attendees.
I bet, because he was quite stylish, really, wasn't he? The sunglasses and the jackets. And
very much so. I mean, he was a much loved and much admired New Zealander, and he will be missed. And it's fitting that the front page of the Herald today is a full dedication to him. But I always used to feel like in the height of our crime rampage that it was always the Michael Hill stores that were ram raided, and I felt it was so unfair because he's just such a jolly nice man.
I know, and some of them had to close.
Yes.
The Michael Hill stores because of the crime.
Yeah.
I mean, it was outrageous, really, what was happening. There he is on the front page of the Herald. A lovely man by all accounts, which is very sad to see him pass. Now, you've done an article, Simon, for the Herald talking about Chris Bishop and telling councils to ditch the fancy architecture and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. What's the...
So architecture, it's not the hottest topic in the world, usually, unless you're an architect. The Minister for RMA Reform, Chris Bishop, announced at the local government conference this month that he wanted councils to stop concentrating on design, stop trying to win architecture and design awards, forget about building Green Star buildings, and just get back to efficiency and effectiveness. And the piece I've written this morning is to say, if you want efficiency in a building, Green Star is a really good way of measuring, because Green Star is all about energy efficiency for the construction and the life of the building. That's something that everybody should aspire to when in construction. If you want buildings that work really well, the purpose of design is to make buildings and public spaces work well. Looking good is really important, but actually their function is the vital thing. And we have so many examples in Auckland, and I know around the country as well, of well-designed public spaces, well-designed buildings, bridges, playground areas, particularly in parts of the city that often get underserved. And those things are making a real difference to people's lives, and they're a valuable thing that councils do.
All right, very good. Not the toilets in Wellington, though, you have to admit.
There are, however, around the country, many good toilets.
There are. Hey, appreciate you both coming on the show this morning. Great to see you. That is our panel for this morning. We were joined by Peed PR founder Deborah Peed and senior journalist at the Herald, Simon Wilson. Next, entertainment news. Jenny Mortimer is going back to the future with a Bend It Like Beckham sequel and a Destiny's Child reunion. Then, after 8:30, Aussie singing superstar Guy Sebastian is in the studio.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We could also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
After 20 seasons on the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience, just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
We've done few subdivisions with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
welcome back. 27 minutes after 8 o'clock. As we predicted, Ed Sheeran has announced 2 more shows in New Zealand. In other news this morning, the movie Bend It Like Beckham is getting a sequel. Is it? That is the question. Jenny Mortimer, New Zealand Herald Chief Lifestyle and Entertainment Reporter with us. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning.
So we'll start with Ed Sheeran. We called it last week.
Oh, look, when you
Hey?
leave a giant gap like that between tour dates and only one for Auckland, he was always going to add more. I wouldn't be surprised if there is one more show slipped in. We've only got the one in Wellington still, and general public ticket sales only went on sale on Monday. So we still could see another concert slip in, maybe another Auckland show. Right now we've got 2 for Auckland, 1 for Wellington, 2 for Christchurch, and about a 4-day gap between those. So,
So he's either having a little holiday,
which is my guess as well. I think we'll see him appearing all around, maybe singing in some schools like last time.
maybe going to pick up the new favourite kiwi pie from Rosedale Bakery. Hey, Bend It Like Beckham. So this is now 25 years?
So 2027 will be 25 years,
Right.
Which is when the sequel is meant to come out. And we've been told, all we know really is that it's been worked on, but it's meant to reflect where women's football is now, and be in celebration for the FIFA Women's World Cup, which is that year as well. So, it's meant to be a very different, we don't know if it's a movie yet or a TV series, but a very different look on women's football. My guess is they're going to go with the children of the lead actresses from last time. You know, it's going to be a follow-on, like it's their children, their journey through football. But I mean, we'll see.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
They've got great material, the Lioness's performance last week.
Right.
And there's lots to go on there. And,
Yeah.
and actually, I was reading about one of their players who played the entire tournament with a broken leg.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, a sprained, at least a chipped one. Destiny's Child, speaking of reunions,
Yes.
so they had a bit of a reunion at the end of Beyonce's latest tour?
Yes, so to end the Cowboy Carter tour, she brought back the original members of Destiny's Child and they performed 3 songs. Of course, everyone was super excited and, you know, now they're demanding for a big reunion tour. But yeah, she also had Jay-Z and there was Shabuzi as well, did a guest performance. So she ended her tour with a bang, well and truly.
Fantastic. I would have loved to have been there myself.
It looked amazing,
Personally,
right?
It looked pretty cool. Thanks so much, Jenny. Jenny Mortimer from the Herald. Time now is 8:30. Here's News with Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
Hospital emergency departments will remain open today, despite tens of thousands of nurses walking off the job. Nurses across the country are striking for 24 hours from 9 a.m, citing unsafe staffing levels. Health New Zealand's postponed thousands of procedures and appointments. National Chief Medical Officer Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard says people should expect delays in ED and contact their GP or healthline for care where possible. She says the service is already under pressure because we're in the middle of winter with storms and staff sickness. Severe thunderstorm watches and orange rain warnings remain in effect across Bay of Plenty and Gisborne region. In the far north, flooding is affecting State Highway 11 between Kawakawa and Paihia. And belief a report into ways the insurance sector can better respond to extreme events couldn't have come at a better time. A new Financial Markets Authority report on insurers' response to the Auckland anniversary weekend floods and Cyclone Gabrielle recommends improving 6 areas. These include identifying and treatment of vulnerable customers, resourcing, and business continuity. Those with mortgages are bank hopping at record rates, but not necessarily to get lower interest rates. More than 3,500 holders switched nearly $2.5 billion of debt between loan providers last month. It's the highest since records began in 2017. Cotality Chief Property Economist Calvin Davidson says it reflects a mix of factors, including short-term loans, minimal or no break fees, and cashback incentives.
People might be keen to do that to get a nice little bonus if they switch, but also there may be others who are simply facing cash flow problems and are looking for that cash to top up their budget.
A bill removing the ban on new petroleum exploration permits beyond onshore Taranaki is set to face its 3rd reading in Parliament. The government hopes removing the ban will improve investor confidence in our petroleum sector and increase the regulatory efficiency of the Crown Minerals regime. The number of patched gang members has surpassed the 10,000 mark. Individuals registered on the national gang list increased by 75% between December 2017 and December 2023 to more than 9,000. The latest figures show there's been a 7% rise as of July 8, topping 10,009 people in total. Opioids are turning up more and more in workplace drug tests. Tests by the Drug Detection Agency for the 3 months to June reveal 3% were positive. Opioids made up 19% of positive results, with it up 25% in East Auckland and Bay of Plenty. CEO Glenn Dobson says legal painkillers like tramadol are part of the issue. He says there are clear instructions that you should not be operating heavy machinery using it and should be declaring your use.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Netball New Zealand have confirmed an ANZ Premiership broadcast deal for next year with TVNZ and a 5-test tour of England and Scotland for the Silver Ferns in November. A shoulder injury has ruled New Zealand captain Tom Latham out of the first cricket test against Zimbabwe starting tonight in Bulawayo. Mitchell Santner will become the 32nd man to lead the side in the format.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning. Fortunately, the fronts responsible for the heavy rain and strong winds are starting to move east, clearing New Zealand later today. We'll still be a little unsettled moving forward though, plenty of showers and cooler temperatures. Now there will still be heavy rain and strong winds for parts of Bay of Plenty and Gisborne, Tairāwhiti and the central North Island mountains, but we're expecting the watches and warnings to be lifted across the day. Last one expires at 1 p.m. So cloudy periods today with a few showers. They could be heavy for Invercargill and rain for Oban, but clearing this afternoon, winds from the south or southwest. Fortunately, the heavy rain is gone for the north of the South Island, just showers remaining. Could still be heavy and thundery falls for the west coast. Now the rain eases to showers this morning for the lower north, but then some of those showers will be frequent and possibly heavy this afternoon with north to northwest winds. Still a little bit of weather left out east as those fronts move overhead. Things will improve early this afternoon. Winds turn northwest for Hawke's Bay and for Gisborne. And it's a better day for the upper north, but still with showers. Some of those likely to be heavy this afternoon, maybe thundery too for Kaitaia and for Auckland.
You're watching Herald Now. It's 25 minutes away from 9 o'clock. How good is Guy Sebastian? He's been streamed more than 1.3 billion times worldwide. He's 82 times platinum, 14 top 10 singles to his name, and he was the first artist to represent Australia at the Eurovision Song Contest. Now, he's just put the finishing touches to his 10th studio album, 100 Times Round the Sun, which is out on the 8th of August, and he's here to share a bit of it with us this morning. Guy Sebastian, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Pleasure. There's a lot of stats that was read out there.
Did you know all of that?
Not all of it, no, but I like hearing it every now and then. You know, a little puff piece for me.
If I was you, I would have it on a T-shirt.
Yes.
And, or a tattoo or something.
How many billion did you ask? And on the back, 1.3.
Exactly. Exactly. Why not? Hell, you've had a hell of a career. Why not celebrate?
Exactly. No, it's been a lot of fun. It's been 22 years? 2003. It's crazy. I meet, there's people even in the crew that have brought me to the interview today that are like, I was 4 when you won Idol. It was quite a long time ago. I had a lot of hair, big, massive afro, but it's good to be back in NZ, that's for sure.
That was the beginning then, right? Australian Idol for you. Well, the beginning of the big stuff, I suppose, which was big on this side of the Tasman too.
Yeah, well, I get it, the first one is always interesting because it feels pure. For us, I think myself, Shannon Noel was the one that I was competing against in the grand final.
Right.
And, he was a sheep shearing classic Aussie bloke from Condobolin out in the country. And I guess I represented something else, I'm very multicultural and I was singing R&B and soul and he was country rock. So it really divided the nation and being the very first one, it really did capture imagination.
Yeah.
So I never thought that 20-something years later I'd still be making music. I think that was always the dream. and so I'm very, very lucky and good. And just it's been way too long since I've been in NZ. So I've basically pleaded to my record company who are behind me. I was like, this time round, I've got to make the effort. I've kind of put everything else on hold to do a bit of travel. So it's
great. Well, it's lovely to have you here. Tell us about this is your 10th studio album, and you have described it as a little brighter, perhaps a little more optimistic.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, I think I needed to get back to just joy and a bit of love, and I love a good love song, and I've been writing them for my whole career. But I think on the last album, it was just I went through a fair bit of just some tough moments in life, and that album sort of represented crawling out of the mud a little bit, and a few fight songs on that one. That album was called Truth, and so on this record, I really just wanted to get back to a bit of soulful joy, and some of the best ballads, I reckon, definitely the best ballad album I've ever made. There's obviously some up-tempo ones, but I can't wait for people to hear the ballads on this record. I'm stoked with the ballads.
One of the songs, I understand, is written based on advice from your mum?
Yeah, so that was the first thing I released. I mean, probably half of the songs are mum advice on there. She's given me some cracking advice over the years, but there's one called I Chose Good. That was like the first one I released. That's almost like a wedding song. When you listen to it, my picture that as I was writing it was your perfect bride coming down the aisle, and you looking at your mum going, oh, this time I followed your advice, mum, and I chose good on this one. But yeah, there's a real mix of I guess some more up-tempo soulful songs, but just definitely my favourite ballads album. There's a track called The Keys and another one called Strangers. They're my two personal favourites, but yeah, looking forward for people.
You said the last album you were perhaps going through a few more challenges in your life. Is it hard to kind of turn it on? I mean, when you're going through hard times, then you're going through you're in a happy phase of your life. We've all been there, but you're having to perform the whole way through because that's what you do. Yeah. Is that hard? How do you kind of keep that going?
Well, I think mainly it's recognising the difference between happiness and joy. That was something I really had to realise throughout this period, because there's still hard stuff happening for me, but I didn't want my whole, all of my art that I'm releasing, obviously, but also my whole focus to be on that. And I guess as you get older, you just realise that life is going to be tough at times, but it's how you frame your mind. So obviously happiness is based on circumstance, and joy is a choice. Joy is something you choose, and so I've just chosen to be positive. And this whole new album really, if I had to sum it up, it's you see this kind of pink sort of circle that's on a lot of the artwork, and this album's about that inner circle, that community that we all have, that they're your ride or die, your people that you've got each other's back. And I think for too long I was someone that just tried to please everyone. Like I really did try and be Switzerland, and you sort of lose yourself a bit and you end up being nothing to everyone. And so just the value of having that small community that I can actually be effective to and actually be there, give them my time and my love and everything. So yeah, this whole album really reflects on that, and just enjoying life. We're only here once.
Guy, are you a musician or are you a motivational speaker?
Oh, geez. Definitely much more
bit of both.
Much more a musician.
We've got, word got out that you were coming into the studio this morning, and Chelsea, who hosts one of our podcasts here, her mum is rushed in, I'm told, this morning.
I met Michelle.
Michelle, come over
Chelsea,
and say hello.
Chelsea's mum.
No,
yes.
she's shy.
Oh.
I don't even think we can get Michelle on shot.
Come on, Michelle. Here we go. She's coming over.
She came in especially. It's quite sweet. She wanted to come in and say hello.
Oh, thank you.
Both from Australia. And
oh, see, now I get to get the shoes. See, I wore special shoes for you. Now I can show them. See, there's little orange bits on there that match my top. That's the problem with morning television. I notice your shoe is over here. It's not as fancy.
They're also off my feet.
They are
covered in.
We got those.
I don't know what's on them.
What size are they? 16?
No, they're 12 or 13.
Oh, there you go.
Big feet.
Yeah. We got derailed a bit there, didn't we?
A little bit.
Now, Chelsea's mum, Michelle, is very lovely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to give us a little sing-song?
Of course,
if you want to.
Absolutely.
Do we have time?
I think they've grabbed my guitar.
We've got a guitar even.
All
Fantastic. And this, of course, will be dedicated to Michelle, and who's coming to see you this morning. And for those who are wanting to pick up the album 100 Times Around the Sun, it is being released in New Zealand the 8th of August.
That's right.
So
really soon.
Get out there and get supporting it. Very cool. Well, we might be a little minute with the guitar.
That's right. Yeah, I'll quickly grab it.
What we might do is come back right after this break with a performance from Guy Sebastian.
I'll grab my little cape.
Are you considering a DIY kitchen but just not sure if you can do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. With You Do It DIY Kitchens, you're in safe hands. And the customer support team really know their stuff. After all, they design and manufacture everything here in New Zealand. You do it and you save money. So choose You Do It, the affordable DIY Kiwi kitchen with a great reputation. Visit newsroom.co.nz.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
I'm Hayden Scott and I'm a knife maker. I make knives from my workshop at home in West Auckland. Yeah, my previous life I was a chef, did that for 25 years. But I had this knife making thing that I was doing and had been doing for some time. And so that transition from finishing that 25-year career and taking the plunge into full-time knife maker, I had been building up to that, but I still had to take a leap.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost center reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Welcome back to Herald Now. It's just gone 9:15, and for the first time on this program, we've been on air, 2 months. We have never had in that time a musical performance. This morning, we're being treated to one by none other than Guy Sebastian, Aussie singing legend, who's at the desk with us, performing Maybe from his new album, 100 Times Around the Sun, which is out on the 8th of August. Go and check it out. Guy Sebastian, take it away.
I'm the first?
You are, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow, that's an honour. I know they say you should take your time. When you're not looking, that's when you find someone that's worth your while. Try to stay patient, but how could I? How could I? Oh, all I know is I'm done, I'm all in. I can't help it if I keep falling. Head over feet, you make a mess out of me. Oh, don't wanna leave it up to maybe. Give me a moment, I'll take it. I know they say that good things come to those who wait. Why would I want good if I got paid? Oh, baby, I've never been good at waiting. I know they say that good things come to those who wait. Why would I want good if I got paid? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank
you. You got chops on you. The office is clapping.
Blow the cobwebs out early in the morning. It's good.
Love it. Guy, lovely to meet you. Michelle's absolutely beside herself. Thanks so much for...
Get my shoes in shot again. Yeah, there we go.
Are you selling these or something?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I just, TV, you don't get to appreciate because of the desk. The effort that's gone in. The matching oranges. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The desk is great when you're trying to hide
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming in, guys. Thank you, Guy Sebastian. And that new album, by the way, 8th of August. Coming up next, Garth Bray with some breaking business news around Air New Zealand. That's next.
Speaking to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of it? You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university. My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build with GGs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
After 20 seasons on the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Kaiwaka's been in the game for 200 seasons. 50 years of facing up to the elements, getting the job done and coming back for more. And that's guaranteed for a lifetime. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We could also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
Welcome back. I know it's a bit of a come down to go from Guy Sebastian to Garth Bray, but here we are. Time to talk business, 2 degrees. There is breaking news out this morning. This is about Air New Zealand. Garth, good morning.
What happened to the BD energy?
You're still bringing it. You're still bringing it. Just, I'm not sure if I'm feeling it.
Right, well, let me tell you, they're feeling it over at Air New Zealand. They've just dropped an announcement on the NZX that Greg Foran, who you had in this very chair earlier this week, will be replaced by Nikhil Ravashankar, who is the company's Chief Technology Officer, or Chief Digital Officer. This is the IT guys taking over. I mean, the pattern we've seen in New Zealand companies is that the Chief Financial Officer moves into the top chair if it's vacated, if you're doing an internal, or that you get somebody in from elsewhere. Dame Therese Walsh is on there saying, hey, look, we did an extensive search. We've been bold, we're adapting, and he brings the mindset and contemporary leadership we need.
I've interviewed him a couple of times over the years and always found him very impressive and very well prepared and also quite forward-looking.
Yeah.
So I can see why
they just think to deal with OpenAI, didn't they? Sort of to create a ChatGPT style range of products within the company to sort of move that part of it forward. So I guess that's an interesting pick from that point of view. I guess another point I'd make is if you look at the NZX top 50 and you look at the photos of the people that run those companies, they tend to look a lot like, you know, older white guys. So this is that's a shift as well. We're scratching our heads actually to look back at a period and try and find a CEO of a NZX 50 company that hasn't fit that bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What about the fact that they've decided to go internal and not external and not, you know, someone from abroad?
Hard to tell. I mean, you know, it's without knowing who else was in the running, to be honest. But I guess, you know, the airline's been through a huge amount of change in the last few years trying to get out of that COVID funk, the same COVID funk we were talking about earlier that affects our ports. And so perhaps someone that's got a real understanding of the organisation, well liked, I think I can say that from talking to a few people that work at Air New Zealand previously. So perhaps that's what's swung the balance in the end.
Yeah, interesting. Garth, thank you. Good to see you. As always, Garth Bray, Business Desk, thanks to our partners, 2 degrees. 8 minutes away from 9 o'clock now. The oil and gas ban is about to be overturned. Finally, the government, because they've been promising to do it for such a long time, the government poised to pass the Crown Minerals Amendment Bill, which will unwind the Ardern-era ban. Comes as global demand for oil and gas continues to increase year on year. And some estimates put by 2050, oil demand surpassing 120 million barrels per day. Earlier, I spoke to Russell Norman, Executive Director from Greenpeace. Started off by asking if he's pleased, it was a tongue-in-cheek comment, pleased to see that the madness of this ban will finally come to an end.
The madness is making climate change worse. So if we want to avoid extreme weather events, you just had a report about the insurance industry having to deal with more and more extreme weather events made worse by climate change. If we want to avoid that, then we need to reduce our use of fossil fuel and not increase our dependency. So the madness is making yourself dependent on a thing which is basically undermining the stable climate we all need.
Would us getting it out of the ground reduce global emissions? Or would other people just get it out of the ground?
So if you look at the oil and gas that was being, extracted in New Zealand, a lot of it was feeding into the gas was feeding into the New Zealand energy system. The oil was going offshore. But there's a global move, of course, to decarbonise. New Zealand's not the only one that's moving away from exploring for new oil and gas. And so this is part of a global effort to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. The International Energy Agency, so you quoted OPEC, of course, the oil producers, the International Energy Agency are actually saying there's going to be, because of the electrification of transport, that's going to replace a lot of the oil over time, which is a great thing.
Yeah, over time, but in the lead up to 2050, there's still a hell of a lot of oil that's in demand. In fact, we're still seeing every year the demand for oil increase, albeit at a slower rate.
And that's because of electrification of transport, so it's going to replace that oil. And so, the great thing for New Zealand
Russell,
is...
Russell, this is the point the government's making. It'll take time, and in the meantime, you need a transition fuel.
And so if you go on the roads of New Zealand these days, what you'll notice is a rise in electric vehicles, which are replacing over time internal combustion engines, which is a fantastic development. And the great thing for New Zealand is that instead of having to spend billions and billions of dollars importing transport energy in the form of petrol and diesel, we can generate our own transport energy, electric energy, and feed that into the transport system, which is great for our current account deficit, but is also great for the climate.
Fair, but we don't have endless rainfall and wind and solar all happening at the right time and in the right mixture to plug the gaps, right? This is why we need a something else, and this is why the analysts have said we need gas.
So let's actually look at that. So last year, the government claimed that the electricity shortage last winter was due to the ban on new exploration permits that was introduced in 2018. It takes on average 16 years between an exploration permit being issued and gas coming onshore in New Zealand. The shortest it's ever been done is in 10 years. So when the government said last year, 6 years after the ban was introduced, that, this great electricity crisis is due to the oil and gas exploration ban, they were lying. It's not true. Everyone knows it's not true. They were just trying to manipulate people, right? So anything that we're doing like now is not going to have an impact for at least a decade, probably more down the track. So if your concern is energy security, the last thing you're going to do is gamble that we might find more gas and then we might get it onshore in 15 years. You're much smarter to invest in renewable energy and storage and demand side management today. That's how you get security in the energy system.
Watching Herald Now, that was Russell Norman, Executive Director of Greenpeace, on the show a little earlier this morning, talking about the fact, I think it's going to pass its third reading tomorrow, by which time the offshore oil and gas ban will be lifted. Whether that sees a surge in investment, as Russell rightly points out, is another question. 4 minutes away from 9 now. Let's go to the Front Page podcast, and host Chelsea Daniels is here with us. Chelsea, good morning.
Good morning.
Lots of airtime for Mum this morning.
God, I thought she's creeping into my segment, isn't she? But no, she's
lovely for her to meet Guy Sebastian.
To see Guy.
Yeah, cool.
She knew that he was going to be in the country, and last week she messaged me asking me whether I can find out where he is. And I thought, no, probably not. And I saw the rundown this morning. I was like, Mum, get out of bed. We're going to work.
Your dreams come true. That's fantastic. Hey, the surcharge for, the ban on the surcharge that the government's announced, you've been digging into whether we will actually see that ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I spoke to Massey University's Claire Matthews, and she doesn't think it's a good move, even though it's good on a poster, it's good on a banner, it's good on the front page of the newspaper. Basically, what's going to happen is that the businesses still have to pay these these fees. They're going to have to put them somewhere. So they're going to build them into their costs. And that means everyone, even cash users, are going to be paying for it anyway. So I thought, well, are there any other fees that we can get rid of? Nobody likes paying fees for anything. She said, I mean, look, the government's probably better placed to make sure businesses are only passing on the actual cost of the fees. So, you know when you go into a store and there's like a piece of paper with a blue ballpoint pen written on it 2.5% or something, and then in another store it's 4.5, and another store is 50 cents, and another store is 10 cents.
My one actually says, because I've noticed it now that we've been talking about this, I actually look at the thing, 2 plus 2.5.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, should we have something that's like, well, they're getting rid of the costs, but is that actually what the banks are charging them to use PayWave?
So instead of a blanket ban, actually just make them charge whatever they're charged and no more.
No more. And like, because, you could be paying the bank 50 cents to use the facilities, but be charging customers $1 or something at the moment. You can actually do that. It's not nice, but you can. Also, theoretically, I said, should we just all turn back to cash? Should we get back to cash? No fees in cash? And she said, well, it's harder to get cash these days. I mean, look at all the bank ATMs. They used to be everywhere. Now there's like only a few. And if you don't use your bank's ATM, you pay a fee to get money out.
Oh, do you? I didn't know that.
So yeah, if you use the non-bank ATMs that are like maybe one's closest to you,
you get
charged a fee. So
plus, it's inconvenient cash, isn't it?
It's inconvenient.
Who wants to carry around a wad of cash?
And also businesses, it's difficult to deal in cash as well. So theoretically, they could start charging a surcharge for people who deal in cash.
Yeah, true. Chelsea, we will look forward to today's podcast. Thank you. Chelsea Daniels, the Front Page podcast with us as well. Oh, Katie, thank you. Katie's been out. You've been out getting pies.
Thank you, Katie.
These are the best pies in New Zealand.
Are they?
Yeah, they won the Supreme Pie Awards last night, didn't they, Katie?
It's got something to do with rosemary.
I'm just being told to get rid of the paper because it's very rattly. Cheers.
No?
Yeah, no, it's good. It just tastes like other pies I've had.
Yeah, it's got potato on though.
I've had a potato pie before. I mean, it's really good, but it would be hard to pick, wouldn't it? Also, at what point of the judging process do they decide on the winner? It's not, I don't think, I've always thought it's unfair. We did ice cream the other day, remember?
Yes.
If you're eating, the first 5 you eat are going to taste amazing. The last 5 are not going to taste that great, are they? So where was this in the lineup, in the order?
Third. Is this it? Just.
It's really good. It's really good. There you go. You can get that, by the way, from Rosedale Bakery in Albany, Auckland. It's 9 o'clock.
Herald NOW News, powered by News Talk ZB.
Hospital emergency departments will remain open today, despite tens of thousands of nurses walking off the job. Nurses across the country are striking for 24 hours from 9 a.m, citing unsafe staffing levels. Health New Zealand's postponed thousands of procedures and appointments. National Chief Medical Officer Dame Helen Stokes-Lampard says people should expect delays in ED and contact their GP or healthline for care where possible. She says the service is already under pressure because we're in the middle of winter with storms and staff sickness. Severe thunderstorm watches and orange rain warnings remain in effect across Bay of Plenty and Gisborne region. In the far north, flooding is affecting State Highway 11 between Kawakawa and Paihia. And belief a report into ways the insurance sector can better respond to extreme events couldn't have come at a better time. A new Financial Markets Authority report on insurers' response to the Auckland anniversary weekend floods and Cyclone Gabrielle recommends improving 6 areas. These include identifying and treatment of vulnerable customers, resourcing, and business continuity. Those with mortgages are bank hopping at record rates, but not necessarily to get lower interest rates. More than 3,500 holders switched nearly $2.5 billion of debt between loan providers last month. It's the highest since records began in 2017. Cotality Chief Property Economist Calvin Davidson says it reflects a mix of factors, including short-term loans, minimal or no break fees, and cashback incentives.
People might be keen to do that to get a nice little bonus if they switch, but also there may be others who are simply facing cash flow problems and are looking for that cash to top up their budget.
A bill removing the ban on new petroleum exploration permits beyond onshore Taranaki is set to face its third reading in Parliament. The government hopes removing the ban will improve investor confidence in our petroleum sector and increase the regulatory efficiency of the Crown Minerals regime. The number of patched gang members has surpassed the 10,000 mark. Individuals registered on the national gang list increased by 75% between December 2017 and December 2023 to more than 9,000. The latest figures show there's been a 7% rise as of July 8, topping 10,009 people in total. Opioids are turning up more and more in workplace drug tests. Tests by the Drug Detection Agency for the 3 months to June reveal 3% were positive. Opioids made up 19% of positive results, with it up 25% in East Auckland and Bay of Plenty. CEO Glenn Dobson says legal painkillers like tramadol are part of the issue. He says there are clear instructions that you should not be operating heavy machinery using it and should be declaring your use.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Netball New Zealand have confirmed an ANZ Premiership broadcast deal for next year with TVNZ and a 5-test tour of England and Scotland for the Silver Ferns in November. A shoulder injury has ruled New Zealand captain Tom Latham out of the first cricket test against Zimbabwe starting tonight in Bulawayo. Mitchell Santner will become the 32nd man to lead the side in the format.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning. Fortunately, the fronts responsible for the heavy rain and strong winds are starting to move east, clearing New Zealand later today. We'll still be a little unsettled moving forward though, plenty of showers and cooler temperatures. Now there will still be heavy rain and strong winds for parts of Bay of Plenty and Gisborne, Tairāwhiti and the central North Island mountains, but we're expecting the watches and warnings to be lifted across the day. Last one expires at 1 p.m. So cloudy periods today with a few showers. They could be heavy for Invercargill and rain for Oban, but clearing this afternoon, winds from the south or southwest. Fortunately, the heavy rain is gone for the north of the South Island, just showers remaining. Could still be heavy and thundery falls for the west coast. Now the rain eases to showers this morning for the lower north, but then some of those showers will be frequent and possibly heavy this afternoon with north to northwest winds. Still a little bit of weather left out east as those fronts move overhead. Things will improve early this afternoon. Winds turn northwest for Hawke's Bay and for Gisborne. And it's a better day for the upper north, but still with showers. Some of those likely to be heavy this afternoon, maybe thundery too for Kaitaia and for Auckland.
That is it for Herald Now for this morning. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you joining us and for all of your feedback and your emails. We appreciate them too. We'll be back tomorrow from 7 o'clock, of course. For more news in the meantime, head to nzherald.co.nz. A quick thank you to our partners this morning. Forsyth Bar, You Do It, Barkers, Max, 2 Degrees, GJ Gardner, Dilmar and of course Noel Leeming. From the team at Herald Now, thanks so much for watching and we will see you mañana.